Well, our next guests are taking on the pension crisis by taking a look at what they believe is the main cause: mismanagement of pensions and investments. Joining us now to discuss is Robert Kiyosaki and Ted Siedle, authors of Who Stole My Pension? So I guess we'll start with we were just discussing before we came on live. There are two kinds of pensioners, both of whom I guess are getting screwed by what's happening here. Robert, we'll start with the 401k world. What's happening to the folks there who thought maybe they could retire and now are finding out they might come up short?
Well, the reason the book is so important is because there's two kinds of pensions. Ted is an SEC attorney, and the old guys are getting, you know what, and they're the firefighters, police officers, and school teachers. So that pension is called the defined benefit. So my generation, the old guys, baby boomers, around 1974, they took away the defined benefit, and they shifted it to defined contribution, 401k, IRAs. And this is all over the world. So the reason there's two authors is he's the expert at how the government employees are taking it, but they're going to affect both pensions. I mean, they go hand in hand. So my generation with 401k, we're hosed also. And you guys are in serious trouble.
We're like, because there's no Social Security, there's nothing. Let's start with people that actually had a pension, like one of those dreams, like your grandparents or somebody that just worked for GE for a long time, and then you don't. I mean, does it really happen that somebody that thinks they had a pension is going to get nothing?
Well, I don't know about nothing, but pension benefits are being slashed and pensions are being eliminated all the time. The PBGC, the federal government agency, has taken over 5,000 failed pensions. And state and local pensions, over half of them have cut benefits since 2008 recession. So widespread cutting of benefits.
And is this a political issue, you guys? Or is this is nonpartisan in terms of the policies changing?
Well, it's a political issue in that both parties are to blame, because basically who's profiting here? It's Wall Street. Who's losing? Main Street. So both parties feed at the Wall Street trough. So it's a bipartisan issue, really.
And for the young guys like you have no Social Security. And if the defined benefit and the DC collide, defined 401k collide, everything goes down. So that's why I wrote this book, Who Stole My Pension?
Well, and thinking about the 401k savers like myself and Jen, but myself and Dan, right? So we're looking at a very long time. Yes, exactly.
Maximum contribution.
I mean, what's going to happen to millennials who think the numbers say we're on track for saving?
You're not on track.
Right. Well, what's going to happen when we get to retirement and it's, I've saved $600,000, but guess what? You need 3 times that to retire for 15 years.
Well, the 401k was never intended to be a retirement plan, and 401k will never provide the retirement security that a pension would. So, like you said, your average 401k participant at age 65 has maybe $35,000 saved.
That's my generation.
Yeah, that's assuming you have a 401k. That doesn't include the people who don't have a 401k. Yeah. So how are you going to retire on $35,000 plus you're going to get maybe $15,000 a year from Social Security? That's what your retirement looks like.
Okay, so
what's the
there's got to be an answer. Like,
help out.
This can't be so all depressing. What can people do?
Well, that's why I wrote the book. If you're in Ted's camp, which is a defined benefit, which is the state employees, those guys, there's things you can do. If you're in my camp, which is a defined contribution, there's definitely things you can do. But you've got to start earlier than before the crash hits. The prediction is this pension crisis is the new defined, that subprime mortgage. It's subprime pensions that are going to crash this market. So that's why I wrote this book. And there's one thing terrible about mortgages versus pensions: you don't get younger.
Yeah.
This is going to happen because everybody's getting older.
Is a solution, and I imagine some of our viewers are wondering this as they watch this, is the solution to be more aggressive and take more risks in investing?
I would say because you're young, start changing earlier. But like for me, I'm a real estate guy, and if you own a property, there's a lot of things you can do. Like I have a friend who took his house and he now created 3 houses out of it. I don't know how he did it. He got through zoning. But now he's collecting 3 a rent.
First, you got to own a house to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
But the key thing for 401k is not taking on more risk. It's reducing your costs. cutting the fees, because fees will eat away at your principal. 1% fee paid, an excessive 1% fee paid for 30 years will reduce your ending balance by 50% or more. So the minute you start in a 401k, the first thing you should be looking at is, are the fees are the costs as low as they possibly can be? So moving into index funds, away from actively managed funds, things like that. But that should be your point of entry, the very first question you ask when the company hands you your 401k plan. You look at the menu, are these low-cost funds? If they're not, you need to be active and
the good thing is you guys are still young. That's
I like how you keep saying this.
Yeah, but hey, my generation, where it's too late, the clock is ticked.
Well, and then Ted, just quickly on that point, we're in this world, all we hear about is active versus passive. Everyone seems to know that low cost is where it's headed, but you must see amazing things when people come to you and they say, here's my plan is, and that's, well, they had a 5% load, and then on the back end there's 7%, and I can only imagine.
I see mind-blowing things where when you talk about alternative investments in pensions like hedge funds, hedge fund of funds, private equity, I see fees as high as 10% a year. 10%
I've
a
seen
year.
like 20%.
So if the market,
that's not for the medallion fund either.
No. So if you're looking at the expected returns in the market for the next 10 years of, let's say, 7%, and you're paying fees of 10%, you've got all your profits are going to Wall Street. You're not getting anything. So the one thing you can control is cost. You can't control the performance of your investments. But focusing on cost is a key issue.
And what I did is I didn't go public. I'm not in the public markets. I'm private markets. So that's all the hedge funds and those guys. That's my world. I like that world much better than the public markets. So there's a lot of things you can do, but like I said, you have time on your side. That's the most important thing when it comes to getting older. You have time.
All right.
Us guys are old.
I will try to use time to my advantage. Robert Kiyosaki, Ted Siedle, thanks so much for coming by. The book is called Who Stole My Pension? It's out on January 14th. Really appreciate you guys stopping by.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.